Hi, my name is Sasha. Welcome back to my channel, Sasha Reads, and these are the 24 books that I plan to read in 2024. Obviously, I won't be reading just 24 books next year. These are the high priority books that I have. I may have failed my 2023 TBR. Let's not think about that just yet. That'll probably be tomorrow's video. But for now, let's talk about the books that I do have. Now, I have chosen these books a lot like I want to read these books. Last year, I think it was, I think I'll get around to these books sort of thing. But these ones, I'm like, no, I want to read them. I'm definitely going to pick them up. Let's start with Hunt in Dark Waters by Katie Robert. This is Katie Robert's newest release, and we've got a sexy pirate captain, I believe. Or we've got Evelyn, who is a witch, and you've got Bowen and his crew who are bound by vow to patrol Threshold, the magical sea between realms. So, when he rescues Evelyn, he doesn't expect to be attracted to the unflappable pickpocket, but the longer he spends in her presence, the more he begins to question if his heart is the next thing she'll steal. Evelyn is running away from her vampire ex, and so she falls through a portal into another realm, and she's pretty much given a choice to join the crew or die. Now, I met Bowen in Katie Roberts' To Kidnap a Princess, I believe is what it's called. It was part of one of the Bonkers Romance Kickstarters. Anyway, so I read that in November and I absolutely loved it. And so I'm very excited to read about Bowen and his story. And yeah, I just love pretty much anything that Katie Robert writes. So I'm very excited to pick this book up. Next book I want to read is My Dearest Darkness by Kayla Cottingham. Now, I believe this is a YA sapphic dark thriller based in a school. We've pretty much got three friends accidentally summon a creature of immense power in the depths of the school, and it promises to grant every desire the girls have kept locked away in their insecure hearts: beauty, power, and adoration, in exchange for a price. But as the cost of their wanting becomes more deadly, Finch and Selena must learn to work together to stop the horror they've unleashed before it consumes the entire island. So I think I grabbed this last Halloween and I still haven't picked it up, so definitely want to get to this year. Another book I really want to get to this year is The Charm Offensive by Alison Cochrane. Oh goodness. So this is a queer bachelor sort of story, more probably like Unreal, which is a fictionalized TV show about the producers of the Bachelor type series, and I believe the main bachelor falls in love with one of the producers, but like he doesn't realize that he's not straight until he meets him, I believe. Very excited. I know this is one of Merb's favorite books, so I'm very excited to get to this, and I believe this has some anxiety rep as well, which is always good to see in books. We've then got The Final Strife by Sarah L. Arathi. This author is bringing out a fae romance this year, but I'm very excited to pick this one up. The Actabar, which is a set of trials held every 10 years to find the next Ember rulers of the Empire, and it's about to begin. And then you've got Seela, who was destined to win the trials. Stolen by blue-blooded rebels as an infant, she was raised with a duster's heart, forged as a weapon to bring down the Empire from within. That bright future has turned to dust. But Seela wasn't made to sparkle, she was born to burn. And as the trials draw near, it's time for her to decide, will she rule the Empire or destroy it? Now, one of my favorite authors, Andrea Stewart, has blurbed this, which I'm very excited because they wrote The Bone Shard Daughter, and like the Drowning Empire series is one of my favorite series, so I'm very excited to read this one. Another Merb favorite is The Queen is Dead by Stan Grant. Now, I did not know that this was non-fiction. For some reason, I thought it was a novel. But then I was talking to Amy from Ducky Reads, and they were saying that it was non-fiction. Anyway, speaking of Amy, she also did gift me this, so thank you so much. But yeah, so this is by Stan Grant, who is one of the First Nation authors here in Australia. And pretty much it says Queen Elizabeth II is dead. She reigned for 70 years, coming to throne at the height of empire and dying with the world at a tipping point. But what comes next after the death of what Stan Grant calls the last white Queen. Yes, taking us on a journey through the world's fault lines from the war in Ukraine, the rise of China, the identity wars, the resurgence of white supremacy, and the demand that Black Lives Matter. The Queen is Dead is a full-throttled, impassioned argument on the necessity for an end to monarchy in Australia and what needs to be done, through the voice to Parliament and beyond, to redress the pain and sorrow and humiliations of the past. So very excited to pick this up, very excited to get my eyes open and to just read something very hard-hitting. So yes, very keen for this. We then have The High Mountain Court by A.K. Mulford. This author was at Rare back in April, so finally picking up some of her books. This is a fae, I feel like it's romantasy. You've got 19-year-old Remy, who is the last Red Witch alive, and she's determined to stay that way. But the Northern Court King, who slaughtered her family, has other plans. He will hunt her kind until none remain. So she stays hidden, unexceptional, unremarkable, unnoticed, until the day a fae warrior walks into her tavern and sees she is anything but. So her magic isn't strong enough to thwart Prince Hale of the Eastern Kingdom. The Northern Court has turned its gaze to his realm and blood will soon follow. His final hope is a Red Witch, and Remy is the only one left. It's very excited. I know Abby really, really loved this, and plus I met the author at Rare, like I said, and she was super lovely. Like, so nice, and very excited to finally read something from her. Another Rare author, we've got Ivy Asher, who wrote The Order of Scorpions. I believe this is another fae book. When you read this title, Order of Scorpions, you don't think fae. But either which way, that is signed. And I'll show you the hardcover because I love it. Like, how pretty is that? This is the Fabled edition. I guess I'll just read you the back. 6 years ago, I woke in a cage with no knowledge of who I was or where I'd come from. 6 years ago, I was spared the flesh markets and instead thrown in with a group of savages where I learnt it was fight or die. Now, 8 orders of assassins are converging on the only home I've ever known, all in hopes of purchasing new blade slaves for their ranks. I'm for sale, yet all I want is a life far from death and ownership. Then I met them, the Order of Scorpions. Dun dun dun! Their allure is a threat to the freedom I crave, but I won't fall victim to their sting, no matter how tempting it might be. They want to own me, to claim me, but the Scorpions have no idea what they've bargained for. They're about to learn what venom flows in my veins. I don't just bite, I destroy. Very interesting. Next, we have Rebecca F. Kwong's Yellowface. This was gifted to me by Jan, so thank you so much, Jan, for this. And Miss Kwong is going to be in Australia in March, so I'm very excited. I really hope I get to meet her because I loved the Poppy War. Very excited to get to this. This is a very controversial type of book, not in the book is controversial, it's the topic of the book, because it's about these two friends or these two authors. You've got Athena Liu, who is a literary darling, and June Hayward is a literally nobody. So when Athena dies in a freak accident, June steals her unpublished manuscript and publishes it as her own under the ambiguous name Juniper Song. But as evidence threatens June's stolen success, she discovers exactly how far she will go to keep what she thinks she deserves. What happens next is entirely everyone else's fault. I've heard so many good things about this, so I'm very excited to pick it up. And she's floppy and she's short, so hopefully I'll pick it up in February. Next book is Sorcerer of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. This was kindly gifted to me by Grace over at G Swizzle Books. Thank you so much, Grace, for this hardcover of one of the most beautiful books I've probably ever seen. So, Sorcerer of Thorns. Oh, I just reread her note that she gave me. That's so cute. Anyway, all sorcerers are evil. Elizabeth has known that as long as she's known anything. Raised as a foundling in one of Ostomia's great libraries, Elizabeth has grown up among the tools of sorcery, magical grimoires that whisper on the shelves and rattle beneath iron chains. If provoked, they transform into grotesque monsters of ink and leather. She hopes to become a warden charged with protecting the kingdom from their power. So, I've heard a lot of people rave about this book, so I'm very excited to pick this up this year. Unfortunately, I didn't have the best time with Vespertine by the same author, but I'm hoping that giving her a second chance will do wonders for me. We then got Catch Us the Foxes by Nicola West. Now this is a physical book, but I was given the NetGalley by the publisher years ago, when this was published back in 2021. So it's something that I definitely need to pick up. I believe this is a thriller, but it's based in a small Australian country town, and it says Twin Peaks meets The Dry in a deliciously dark and twisted tale that unravels a small Australian country town. So we've got Lo, who is a young journalist who would do anything to escape the suffocating confines of a small hometown. So while she is begrudgingly covering the annual show for the local newspaper, Lo is horrified to discover the mutilated corpse of her best friend, the town's reigning showgirl, Lily Williams. So 7 strange symbols have been ruthlessly carved into Lily's back, but when Lo reports her grisly find to the town's police chief, he makes a promise not to tell anyone about the symbols. Lo obliges, though it's not like she's much of a choice. After all, he's also her father. Ooh, looks like we've got, like, family drama. This sounds so good, and I can't believe it's taken me this long to friggin' pick it up, but I'm definitely going to be doing it this year. We then have Homebodies by Tembi Denton Hurst. This was gifted to me by the publisher Harley Quinn Australia. So thank you so much, Harley Quinn, for a review copy. So this is about Mickey Hayward, who until 24 hours ago was living her dream life. She was working for a trendy Mickey gear company, and she was in a committed, loving relationship. Now she's tossed aside, fired for a younger, more agreeable black writer. Sick of being overlooked and undervalued, she responds with an online letter, detailing the racism she's faced with within the industry. And she's met with silence. And then Mickey's girlfriend suggests they go on a break, and it's the final straw. As Mickey flees to her hometown, the simplicity of the everyday and the arms of an old flame are all too tempting. But there's nowhere to hide when Mickey's letter suddenly becomes a viral sensation. Now everyone wants to hear what she has to say. It's what Mickey's always wanted, wasn't it? Sounds so good. So we got BIPOC author, we've got queer main character. I'm so excited for this. And she's tiny, so I should definitely be able to pick this up. Hopefully in February. I think that'll be a good time to read this. Another book by a rare author, but I didn't have this at rare, unfortunately. The Crown of Oats and Curses by J. Bree. So it's a book 1 in the Mortal Fates series, which is J. Bree's first high fantasy. Very excited. There's actually a buddy read along happening in Meredith's Discord, which I will link down below where you can check it out. We are reading the first 2 novellas in January and February, and then we'll be reading this one in March. So this is, I believe it's about Rook. That's right. So I devoted my life to a king who was not my own. On the road to ultimate honor and glory, I lost everything. Now, in a world ravaged by the whims of those who rule, I must turn back on a lifetime of friendships and loyalties to face my own fate. The Savage Prince. Heir to the high fae throne of the southern lands, he is known for his brutality and cold heart. But with an entire kingdom on the brink of ruin, I have no choice but to seek him out. The war between the fae and the witches rages, and there's no end in sight. My destiny is clear. Help the prince defeat his enemies before it's too late. One small problem. I'm Rooksbane Evening Star, the favoured child return, a witch of the woods, the greatest enemy of my fate's blessed mate. So we've got enemies to lovers. Oh, sounds so good. And plus, look at that cover. Holy cow, this is probably one of the most beautiful covers I've ever seen. J. Bree, your artist does not miss. Another book that I was kindly gifted to by the publisher was All That's Left Unsaid by Tracy Leanne. This is, I think this won a couple awards, by the way. This is about Denny Tran, who had a dozen witnesses to their brutal murder in a busy Sydney restaurant. So how come no one saw anything? So this is an unflinching, deeply moving debut. It's both heart-stopping thriller and complex exploration of the intricate bonds and obligations of friendship, family, culture, and community, combining the sharp observation of Kylie Reid's Such a Fun Age with the compassion and insight of Trent Hilton's Boy Swallows universe. So, very excited for this. Another real tiny copy. Hopefully, maybe I'll get to this in May. And I believe I have an e-arc too. So if I can't pick up the physical, at least I have my Kindle version. We then have one that I probably should have read years ago, but I'm finally getting it, so shush you. This is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. So when this was first announced, I wasn't that interested in it. To be honest, I'm still not kind of interested in it, but I feel like once I finally read it, I'm going to love it. Somebody told me there's vampires in it, and just by like reading, like just looking at this cover and reading the back, it doesn't give me those vibes. But you've got Alex Stern, who is the most unlikely member of Yale's freshman class, a dropout, and the sole survivor of a horrific unsolved crime. The last thing she wants is to cause trouble. Not when Yale was supposed to be her fresh start, but a free ride to one of the world's most prestigious universities was bound to come with the catch. So Alex has been tasked with monitoring the mysterious activities of Yale's secret societies that have yielded some of the most famous and influential people in the world. Now there's a dead girl on campus, and Alex seems to be the only person who won't accept the neat answer the police and campus administration have come up with for her murder. Because Alex knows the secret societies are far more sinister and extraordinary than anyone has ever imagined. They tamper with forbidden magic, they raise the dead, and sometimes they prey on the living. Okay, they prey on the living. That gives me vamp vibes. Okay. I'm not sure when I'm going to pick this up, but I will eventually. Next we have a middle grade, and that is The Marvelous by Donielle Clayton. I have read The Bells by this author and I really enjoyed it. Don't know why I haven't picked the sequel up, but I'm so happy to see more middle grade written by BIPOC authors. They seem to be so much more interesting than the white people middle grades. 11-year-old Ella Durand, who is the first ever conjurer to attend the Arcanum, and despite her excitement, Ella discovers that being first isn't easy. Some marvelers mistrust her magic, which they deem unnatural. Ella is determined to fit in, though, and eventually finds friends in fellow misfits Bridget, a girl who hates magic, and Jason, a boy with a fondness for magical creatures. But just as Ella begins to find her feet, a dangerous criminal escapes prison, supposedly with a conjurer's help. Worse, her favourite teacher disappears, and only Ella seems concerned. So this is giving that one middle grade that we don't support anymore, but I have a feeling it's going to be even better. So very excited to read this, and then when people ask for recommendations like HP, I can be like this one, just like I say Amari, or just like I say Nevermore. So hopefully I'll be able to put this on my Rex list very soon. And then the last of my physical copies that I own, I have Her Night with the Duke by Diana Quincy. So this is a historical romance that I picked up yonks ago, but I love this cover. It's probably one of my newer, like, cleaner copies, because a lot of my historical romances I've picked up secondhand and they're not in the best condition. But we've got a Palestinian author, which is top tier, and we've got Lady Delilah Chambers. So she finds herself stranded at a country inn on a rain-swept evening. She's forced to fend off a group of ruffians with the help of a handsome gentleman. Irresistibly drawn to each other, Leela and the stranger spend one reckless night in each other's arms and then go their separate ways. But the very next day, Leela receives the shock of her life when she meets the Duke, who is set on wedding her beloved stepdaughter. That's right! I forgot that this was what's this about. Okay, so it's going to be like forbidden love. And is it like older woman? Or is it just like he's already older? I'm very excited for this now. I reignited my excitement for it. Next book is Flawless by Elsie Silver. So this is like the cowboy romance that like blew up all the cowboy romances and got everyone into their cowboy era, into their yeehaw, into their snakes in their boots. So yeah, this one I believe is, I feel like it's forbidden. Oh, and it's babysitter. The rules were simple. Keep my hands off his daughter and stay out of trouble. But now I'm stuck with her. There's only one bed, and well, rules are made to be broken. That's all I'm going to really go into it. It's a romance. You know it's going to be steamy. You know it's going to be angsty. And I'm excited to finally pick up my first Elsie Silver. Now, this next book is Evocation by S.T. Gibson. I actually have an arc for this, so I should probably read it soon. But I believe it's kind of witchy. I know it's a new series, and when a family curse threatens David's life, he will turn to the only person he's ever trusted, his ex-boyfriend Reese, which means he will have to open his heart to Moira, Reese's wife. Nice. So sounds poly, which is great. Like Dairy Blood was poly too, so loving that for us. Next on this list is Swordheart by T. Kingfisher. This is one of their only romanticies, I believe. I believe she's also a thick girl. But you've got Hala, who is a housekeeper who has suddenly inherited her great uncle's estate, and unfortunately, his relatives. And then you've got Sorcus, who is an immortal swordsman trapped in prison of an enchanted deal. When Hala draws the sword that imprisons him, Sorcus finds himself attempting to defend his new wielder against everything from bandits and roving inquisitors to her own in-laws, and the sword itself may prove to be the greatest threat of all. So I believe she falls in love with the dude who's possessed by the sword, which I'm not mad about. Riley talks about this book and really loves it, and I'm very excited to read more by T. Kingfisher. Next is House of Hollo by Crystal Sutherland. This is a YA horror, I believe. I heard it's dark, I heard it's creepy. Pretty much it says a dark, twisty, modern fairy tale where three sisters discover they are not exactly all that they seem, and evil things really do go bump in the night. So very excited for that. I've seen this at Big W, and also like this cover is just gorgeous. I'm very excited to pick it up. And then we've got The Unmaking of June Pharaoh by Adrienne Young. I loved Spells for Forgetting last year, so I'm very excited to pick up her next magical realism. You've got a woman risk everything to end her family's centuries-old curse, solve her mother's disappearance, and find love in this mesmerizing novel from the New York Times bestseller of Spells for Forgetting. That's really all I need. I know it's like small town, and if it's got anything on Spells for Forgetting, I just know I'm going to love this book. Next, we've got The AntiHero by Sarah Kate. I'm so excited to read this new series by Sarah Kate. I believe it's called The Good Brothers, possibly, but this first one is about, who is it? Oh, I don't think it says his name there. Anyway, he is the eldest son of Austin's most prominent preacher, and he's lived his life on the virtuous side. No scandals, flawless image, and clean reputation. But then he finds out that his father is a VIP member of a local kink club, and that's where he meets Sage, who I believe is the bartender at the club, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this like virgin good boy to be wrecked. But I heard it's not as sexy as Salacious Players Club, but still pretty much I'll read anything by Sarah Kate. And then last but not least, we've got The Ugly Stepsister by Megan Van Dyke. So this is the second book in her Reimagined Fairy Tales series, and it's focusing on one of the ugly stepsisters. I believe it's focusing on Anastasia, or they call her Anna in this one. Pretty much the queen, Cinderella, is evil, and Anna is on the run basically because the castle guards have come to collect her and her mother. So she's now disguised as a young man, as she's taking the name of Ansel. She'll do whatever it takes to free her family and set the record straight. And then you've got Will, who was a former royal huntsman. Yeah, he was nearly killed for dissenting Cinderella's rise as queen in wake of the sudden death of the old king and his son. He hatches a plan to take Cinderella down and encounters Ansel, who wants revenge just as much as he does. So very excited. This will also work for one of the Bookman prompts, where it's read 6 retellings in 6 months. So definitely excited to pick this up. So yes, that is the 24 books on my 2024 TBR. Let me know down below. Have you read any of them? Are you planning on reading any of them? Let me know. Maybe we could buddy read. But thank you so much for watching. Don't forget you can like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more videos by me. You will see me again tomorrow because I am doing 12 Days of Bookmas. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you next time. Bye!